Whoa. Hi there. Hello. I am Linda K. Gifford, rocking a space bun and a chair today. This ought to be interesting. I'm out of town working on my book. I'm Linda K. Gifford, survivor of many years of childhood sexual assault. And start right up top by saying and reiterating I want you to call it assault from now on. It's assault, it's not child abuse. If someone has been sexually touched or assaulted or raped, even verbal assault is assault. Please call it assault. I even changed the title of my book, Linda K. Gifford, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Abuse, to Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault. And in talking with my own therapist, which I do and I recommend you do, um, she said, that's a damn good idea. Why do we call it abuse? Why, when something as violent as a rape, much less as child rape, that's not assault. I don't know what is. So you need to advocate. You need to lobby, and that's the E in spades. We stopped at D yesterday. We went through lessons 1 and 2. Lesson S in spades are an acronym in trigger management. For those of you, I guess I should preface this by saying, I'm, as I said, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual assault. I am also a life coach and a speaker. I own feelgoodfairtrade.com, and we just hit our 4th anniversary online. Yay! But we're going to officially launch have a birthday party at our Sweet Survivor launch, which is a rescue charity that I founded. And that's why I'm on YouTube, is to promote the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. Um, and in doing so, it's turned into lessons in trigger management. And I already have one book coming out. So now I have an e-guide kind of book called How to Get from Trigger to Happy. And I'm really excited. I'm actually putting it together as we speak. But today's lesson, Sunday we'll talk more about society, and I'm going to rant and rave about some political situation stuff going on, and talk about history and anthropology, culture and society. But Tuesdays and Thursdays we're focusing on lessons. And so we're going to dive right in today because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack. I have all these notes. I always make all these notes, and then it's like, I can't read those notes and talk to you. So I'm kind of like glancing down now and then going, I think I'll just off cup it here. Forgiveness is overrated. That's what I want you to know. Forgiveness is overrated. It's ridiculous. Um, the only person you have to forgive is yourself. And that's super easy to do. It's super easy to forgive yourself because all you have to do is make a mind shift to realize you were never guilty of anything. You have no need for forgiveness. If you don't need forgiveness, you don't have to forgive anybody. Any so, um, I do not forgive my abuser. I somewhat understand the societal conundrums that um, lead to men looking at young girls as sexual objects. I mean, we set that up. We set that up. Oh my gosh, this is turning into a Sunday school again. But we do. We set that up. We accept it. We perpetuate it ourselves. Many women do by confer- what's the word I'm looking for? Conforming to social norms. Conforming to social norms that were set up in a patriarchal world where the most liked and successful of women generally are kissing some patriarchal ass, hoping for some cookie crumbs because they ain't never going to get a cookie. They ain't giving that stuff away. But they get more crumbs if they preach the patriarchy. So don't be that. Don't be that woman. Don't be that person. I know there are guys here too. Hello, guys. But forgiveness is overrated. So just remember that. Remember, once you realize that you were never guilty, you have no reason to forgive anybody. So boom, there went forgiveness. See how easy that was? I'm having a sip of tea. No, I'm not drunk. Somebody always thinks I'm drunk. I just came out this way. So Here's the deal. We disassociate because it was a learned behavior that saved our butts. That wasn't my first choice of words, but we're cleaning it up. It saved our, okay, it saved our asses at a time when we felt powerless. What we need to teach our children is that they are not powerless. We were not powerless in the sense that we could have told people that would have done things, we could have changed our situations, but we were taught not to. We were taught not to by the very people who say they support us and who say they're on our side, because they perpetuate societal norms that allow people back to the top. This is where I was saying, no, I do not forgive my abuser, but I do. I have come to a point of realization that unless we change the way society works, we're the language of society, I call it. Unless we change the language of society, I'm just writing that chapter today, um, then it's just going to keep happening. So some people are like, what are you talking about it now for? Put the past in the past, whatever. It's like, well, it frees me. Advocating is so important. Educating and advocating is actually what the E in spades stands for. It's that important. And it's not just important because I'm a do-gooder who wants to change the world. It's important because me and you, or somebody that you care about or work with, if you're here, you probably fit one of those three categories. Uh, because we have to work at it every day. And it gets easier and easier and easier, not by letting time go by and not thinking about it, not by continuing that disassociation that stuffs it down in the first place and allowed you at one point to survive it. Now you're like, okay, that's that's great. So we're going to just stop. How? How? That's the hard part, right? No, that's what I'm here to tell you. You thought I was going to say, yes, that's the hard part. And of course it is. But no, as long as you're willing to try. So if you're not willing to try, you should find somebody else to listen to. Just having this conversation the other night. It's like I can only help you if you are on a journey to be helped. Some people I start to talk to, and we never get past um, just extreme blame. I'm going to kill this person, or I hate them, and just this never. It's like, okay, you have the right to feel all of that. That's where I'm coming to you right now, and that's why I chose to revisit Forgiveness is Overrated, which is actually a chapter of my book. You have the right to your anger. You have the right to your frustration. You have the right to your tears. But you have a choice whether that is going to define the rest of your life or not. I choose not. So, sure, I've taken some people down some difficult paths, and that's how we've come up with these lessons. And they hurt at first, but it's like bursting forth of a dam and being free from the water that you were behind the dam. Now you're flowing. And you do that by getting it out. So, back to disassociation. How does it all tie together? The disassociation that we learn to do, not learn to do, that we naturally did. In fact, the more that you disassociated, and if you had other people like that you divided yourself into, I personally realized that there were three of me, which is why my thumbnail has three. That's me, myself, and I call it. Um, but there were just personas that could handle things, and that way you separate it from the rest of you. That actually is scientifically now linked with higher IQs. So you have a higher ability. So if that was you, that's awesome. You know, if you have alters, you should thank them, give them a cupcake, and say thank you for protecting me. And now you tell me I can't get rid of my ability to dissociate. It's like, I know. So we're going to use it for good, not evil. All right. I'm going to teach you how to use it for yourself instead of against yourself. And that is where everything keeps coming back to relationships. And when I talk to people, I really didn't think I was going to end up in relationship counseling, and that is not what I do. So if you're here for me to fix your relationship, know that I'm probably going to break you up with whoever you're with, unless they are some kind of super god Jim. because I am all about taking our disassociation skills now and using them to say no consciously instead of slipping into an altar or just slipping into, as a child, the altars were useful. Then I discovered drugs and alcohol, and who knows if there were altars at that point. Drugs and alcohol did the trick. Um, it wasn't a healthy path, it wasn't a good path. I tried to kill myself twice during those years. And I talk about that for the first time ever and fully outside of a therapist. Certain ghost people to me. In suicide, there's a video. In fact, when this process is, which won't be till tomorrow, when this video, YouTube takes all the way overnight and like till the middle of tomorrow morning, till I can add end screens, that'll take you other places. But I will add the suicide one on there because I think it's important. I do. Um, it's an extreme ability to disassociate if you can take a bunch of pills, slit your wrist, and lay down in a highway and feel peaceful. And, I've been there. It sucked. Don't do it. Don't do it. Take these disassociation skills, and what you're probably doing with them is because you were once marginalized, you were once victimized, and you grew to accept that, and then you feel guilt and shame. Everyone I talk to, I don't know one single person that doesn't feel guilt and shame. They start off thinking they don't. We find out that it's a hidden root. Guilt and shame are hidden roots, and I talk all about how society does that to us, and we're going to talk more about that on Sunday in Sunday school. But I want to keep to the lesson so that I don't get all crazy long here. I want you to see, just like I said, that body memory and disassociation are flip sides of the same coin. So let's revisit that because that's important to set this up. If you want to hear more about it, it's in the last live stream from Tuesday. Body memory is the vivid traumatic recall. It is the root of the CPTSD. The C stands for complex, for those of you who don't know. It is PTSD, whatever the root is having a sensory, it's not just an emotional, it's not a memory, it's not oh, I'm sad. That would be easier because then you can kind of think about it and qualify it and maybe go cry for a while. PTSD memories, that's why they shouldn't even call it that. PTSD flash they take you over. It's as if, I will describe it again, probably every day. There's another video here, right? And we superimpose it on top of me, but you can still see me. And I'm this one and this one. And now I superimpose another video, not on the screen, but in my world. There's another world right here. I can see it, smell it, taste it. I have the emotions. This is what PTSD, they say sufferers, but I don't like that word either. I don't like words that victimize us. I like empowering words. So again, that's a choice. I choose to be a survivor. I choose to work with people who want to have a great life and survive. And rather than wallow in our past, which we will certainly dissect and try to change the future, but what we're going to do in our own lives, what I've done, and the reason I am even at all qualified to speak to you, plus 170 credit hours and a 3.9 in my major, and interpersonal and organizational communications, there is that. But ain't nothing like real world experience. And unfortunately, I've got 7 years of experience as being a childhood survivor. I have 30 plus years experience being a survivor, but I had 7 years experience of being in it, in the lifestyle, the child mistress groomed for abuse lifestyle from 10 to 17. And boy, can I disassociate. Boy, can I. One of my people was little boy. One of my people was rage. Little boy was rage. One of my people was little girl. And one of my people was rage. Getting ahead of myself. Rage controlled things. Rage was like a male character. I just felt I wanted to be a boy. I dressed like a boy. I wore t-shirts and jeans and boy shoes and boy glasses, and basically was trying to hide my sexuality early on. Um, in high school, I adopted the Annie Hall look, also big baggy clothing, and just was never one to show a lot of skin. And people don't understand at the time. The, what I was really covering up wasn't my body; it was what was happening behind closed doors, more like in cars and on long drives, and uh, also doors. Don't want to go there. Keep my book isn't a list of my experiences. I will refer to them, but I don't think that when you read my book that you're going to get a play-by-play of everything that happened in chronological order. This is about changing the picture. That's why my store supports women artisans in this world. That's why if you want to know who's making something I sell, I can give you their phone number or their email so you can talk to them personally. It's that kind of a situation. And we need you. And I have I've combined feelgoodfairtrade.com, my store in existence now, for 4 years. Previously, I uh, ran seasonalfair.com and turned it into Feel Good Fair Trade um, last year, about this time, August of last year. So on the day my mom died, I rolled the name over in honor of her and said we are feelgoodfairtrade.com. But we continue to support the same suppliers that we have for 4 years, and we do need your help there. So do remember that the reason that these lessons and things started is because I started live streaming and to tell you about my rescue fund and how we're providing transportation to victims of human trafficking, sexual trafficking, and assault. And I want to build this to beyond just tickets. I want to build this into a network that connects with existing networks. We need something more solid, and I'm here to do it. Help me, please. Okay. So back to the disassociation. You can't wait. The D in spades. Okay, S, the shame is not yours. P, separate past from the present. A, ask for what you want. Don't just take what's given. Now we're at D today. Change the language of society so that you're not waiting around to be normal. There's no such thing, for one thing, as normal. We are all part of a group. When you consider that 1 in 3 women has been sexually assaulted in this country, I believe, alone, has been or will be in their lifetime, and that doesn't account abuse or verbal assault. There's a whole lot more company. In fact, I would say it's abnormal to meet a woman who has not been victimized by a man in some way or another. And we're going to do a live stream, a special segment here where I am just going to go through this. Came up the other night, and I just started listing to my partner, who was just like in disbelief. I'm like, I am not an average woman, and I can just cite times that our men did shocking sexual things. Um, I could talk for 2 hours listing times men inappropriately pulled out their penis or grabbed me or worse. Um, I have left a man crying in the street, clutching his balls after ripping him out of my car onto the ground and driving off without him. Um, you should get trained if you're not. You should get trained if you're not. But that's a whole other story, and I already told it. So you can go back and look at that live stream. Maybe I'll try to find that one and attach it at the end of this too tomorrow when I can get the chance. But yes, we disassociated. We did those things, and it was actually a good thing. Um, for the average person, disassociation means just like separating oneself, kind of putting a mental or emotional buffer, right? What kind of disassociation you're doing. Um, for us, I want you to, for this lesson, All of these lessons are feeling, they're feeling, they're hard. I want you to remember, and we're going to wrap it up after this. I want you to remember times when you dissociated. Remember traumatic events. This is hard. That's why I always say get in a peaceful place. Don't go into the rabbit hole. If you do, remember our lessons in going into the rabbit hole. And if you didn't take them, maybe you want to wait to do this, because I tend to get triggered during my own lessons and have to work my way through the way to manage it every time, which is exactly why I'm here. Like I said, my friend said, "You're the blind leading the blind." And I'm like, yeah, who better, right? Who better? So put yourself in a mindset where you can just let your mind drift. And instead of burying your trauma, whatever yours is, it doesn't have to be sexual assault, it can be neglect, it can be survivor guilt, it can be war, it can be anybody died and you didn't, and you don't get it. There's so many reasons for survivor guilt, and it just goes hand in hand with the kind, because the reason seems very disconnected, because there's all kinds of PTSD, but the two that I see connect, and I'm actually writing a paper about this for a medical journal, um, is survivor guilt, like childhood sexual assault, PTSD, CPTSD, complex, are shame based. And I was going to keep it short, but I do need to explain the C. I never, never don't get the question. Complex means more than just, okay, a lot of it. Complex, the science now shows that those of us who were repeatedly traumatized in whatever way in childhood, and that includes emotional and physical neglect. That even includes, even if you had a wonderful parent, but you were, say, food insufficient and fearful. There's a lot of ways to feel that kind of desperation. Um, and it all kind of centers back to you found a way to deal with it by separating. Now you're going to consciously remember that event. And I want you to take the feeling. I want you to take the feeling of separation, the peaceful feeling. Even when I was at the worst of being violated, there was a sense of peace where you transition from horrified at what's about to happen, which I actually wrote a paper on in college, like a 400 master's level paper on. We had to come up with a theory, a new theory. And I was like, why don't we talk about pre-traumatic stress syndrome? And at the time, I never connected it to myself like this. I was thinking of people who were losing a loved one to cancer or something such, um, where it's coming, and all focus is on the person with the illness, and the people who are about to lose them are actually in a very high state of stress and anxiety that's really screwing them up too, and that's pre-traumatic stress. And just yesterday, for the first time, it dawned on me that my own pre-traumatic stress theory, which my professor told me I should write a dissertation on, however, I did not go in for my doctorate, um, but it ties in with waiting for abuse. When you're in a traumatic situation that repeats and repeats and repeats, you know it's coming. And that state of anxiety is terrible. It's easier once, like, when you get it over with, then you're in a period of, okay, it's not going to happen again for a while. So you slip into this disassociation phase that is comfortable. And unfortunately, it carries through oftentimes into your sex life as an adult, oftentimes in ways you don't even understand. And I've talked at length about that, and I will again, and we're going to get into that more next week. Purity and more about body stuff all next week, because purity balls, the idea, remember, we're changing the language. We're going to giving yourself and saving yourself and acting like your vagina is some fucking prize that has to be protected at all costs, that your daddy owns. Yeah, that's next week. Sunday school, I will be introducing all of that. But back to today. So you're going to, as in every one of our lessons, you're going to start by getting in a peaceful zone, however you do it. And I don't mean drugs and alcohol. I mean a peaceful zone. Let her hit herself. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just saying, no, it's you do you. I don't pretend to be a medical professional. I've been there. I've done the work. I do have a lot of schooling in people skills and people communication, interpersonal and organizational communications, as I said before. But what I've learned is now that I peacefully remember, purposefully don't push it away, purposefully don't redirect my mind somewhere else, let it wash over me and re experience the traumatic event. But instead of as a PTSD event, although it might start that way, it might start as a trigger, get control of it. You're going to mentally, it's all a mental game. Just like some things are a numbers game, this is a mental game. You get control of your mind and you tell it to look at what's happening. Now, you tell your conscious mind now to watch that video screen that came on, that PTSD screen that inserted itself into your reality. Now you watch it. You don't become part of it. And if you are already part of it, which you probably are, because that's how it attacks, if you're going to feel it, it's going to grow out of you. Put it aside, push it away, feel it, grab it, push it away, put it away, put it on the shelf. Push it away here. Before you put it on the shelf, I want you to look at it. I want you to look at your traumatic experience, and I want you to look at it with all of your senses in a state of relaxation. And now you're going to be able to see it as something outside of yourself, and don't put it back in yourself anymore. Take your ability to dissociate, separate that from you, and consciously move it into, I said push over here, but my mental office. But my mental office compartmentalizes so well because of the complex part of CPTSD. See, you got to make lemonade out of everything. My therapist said you have to look for the silver lining. So I was like, well, what is the silver lining in disassociation? And I was reading and I can't find anything. So it's like, well, I guess I'm going to have to make this stuff up. So that's what I've done for you today. And it works really, really well for me. And it's working for some people that I'm talking to and my guinea pigs that I try it out on who are like me. And I would much rather deal with whatever experience I need to deal with, whatever trigger I need to deal with in the moment, than take some kind of pill that drugs away so much of my life. And I tried those things. And if you're on some pills, I recommend you talk to your doctor and tell them, Linda, a non-medical professional, told me I can't stop taking my pills, but that I should talk to you about targeted therapy instead. Okay? And along those lines, I want to add in that I am now booking free. Okay, I do coaching and consulting at a very nominal cost, but right now, my book is more than finished, except for the fact that it's not put together. It's like a pile of stuff. Yeah, notes and this chapter and that. And yeah. So as the organization begins, I'm watching more and more other people's, other survivors and therapists streams and webinars and things, and talking. I have more time to talk, so I've set an appointment calendar for Tuesdays through Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And if you would like to talk to me for half an hour for free, I'd like to hear your experience. So for research purposes, if you want to continue on, I'd love to be your coach and help you. As long as, I'll try to fit in as many people as I can. But really, I want to talk to everyone with this experience. And that includes those of you who may be support personnel or loved ones and your experiences. And I'm going to be a little bitch now and say I don't want a wine session of everybody's, I want to talk to you in a literary way, in a straight up way. We all have feelings. I cry a lot. I cry when I talk to people. They cry when they talk to me. It's part of it. That's fine. But I want to hear how you feel your experience has affected the way you are. And I'd like to especially know what you feel your biggest challenges are. I'm getting a pretty good picture of it, but I'd like to add you into my book. Not by name, unless you want to be and I want to use it. I would never do that. Um, oh, that reminds me, the group will be private. I think by tomorrow. You have to apply for that stuff with Facebook. I need to go do the process to make it private. So we got to D today in spades, and don't wait to feel okay to be okay with our disassociation lesson. The trigger guide, I'm going to be giving it for free to anybody who starts a subscription. So please go to sweetsurvivor.com. The link is somewhere under here. And subscribe to Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. So as everybody says, but it's true. For the price of a cup of coffee a month, you can help us provide transportation to safety for people and to grow this into a huge national and then international network that provides more and connects more resources to those of us, because there's a damn lot of us and we need to be talking about that. And Sunday, that's what we're going to be talking about. And also September 4th, sweetsurvivor.com. You can go there now. And it's part of Feel Good. I'm introducing it on feelgoodfairtrade.com. You know my store. And then it'll move to its own site, and I'll be combining it with the Rescue Fund, information and all that. So everything is super exciting. My birthday is September 2nd, and I'm going to be emceeing at the Healing Arts Festival in Springfield, Illinois. And I'm going to maybe play a little. I think I am. And we're going to launch Sweet Survivor. So do have your debit card in your pocket, because I'm going to need your numbers unless they're already on your phone so you can subscribe. No pressure. I'll talk to you Sunday. Good day.